Connected Tech Talks, the podcast from ITS. My usual co-host is here with me. Hi, Katharine, partner in crime. How are you?
I'm good to be back.
Excellent. So, today we've got Kevin McNulty, who's ITS's strategy director and all-round market expert, who's going to have a chat with us about state of the market, some other stuff. See where the conversation goes.
Fantastic.
Yeah. Welcome, Kevin.
Thank you very much. Good to be here.
So if we dive straight in, sorry to cut you off at your knees there. What is your job role at ITS?
Well, my job role is to set the direction for the business over the coming months and the coming years. And most people think strategy is 2 to 5 years out. What's going to happen? What we should be doing as a business. In doing that, the team I control is the product team. We're developing products to meet customers' expectations and hopefully exceed them. Building the investment cases, the new things we should invest in terms of new networks that we want to build and the technology that we use. I need to keep an eye on what's happening in the market overall to see how ITS we place in that market to compete. And lastly, I have a responsibility towards how we're regulated, because our industry is a regulated industry. And as we've grown, we have a role to make sure that the market stays competitive and works for all, and particularly, of course, ourselves.
How does the career you're in now align to what you thought you'd do when you grow up, when you were younger?
Suggest he's grown up.
Yeah.
What do you do when you grow
Well,
up?
I happened to telecoms. Actually, when I first left college, I had a sort of idea that I wanted to join the police, and actually went to join the Met Police. And it was during the interview process, I hadn't got any places immediately available, that someone said, why don't you go work in telecoms? And telephone, because at the time, a lot of people still had dial telephones, but a lot of these listeners won't remember dial telephones. They said, yeah, it's a growth technology sector, it's going to be amazing. And I did go and get the job, but I never joined the police. And very soon after I started, the mobile phone that we've come to know is ubiquitous now came about, and I've rode the technology waves over the last decades, and it's been super. I mean, I love technology anyway, and being a part of it and being a part of what I've seen grow from when a 2 megabit circuit was seen to be amazing bandwidth, where today we're regularly delivering 1 at 10 and moving towards 40 and 100 gigabits. It's just incredible.
The Netflix stream is 10 meg, and we were dishing out 2 meg Ethernet connections. It just brings it into perspective, doesn't it? One Netflix stream is 10
You've got to think in 19, the retail price of a 2 meg circuit was approaching £2,000 a month. So it quickly did fall, but actually the way that we've been able to develop technology and been able to reduce its costs is amazing.
Certainly.
So how would you describe the current IT and tech market?
Well, I think we've been through different revolutions. The first revolution was, and something that I was the first moves between analog and digital technology, and that we saw the role of datacoms, and for a lot of people, the first datacoms they saw appearing anywhere real was around the fax machine. Not true digital technology, but nevertheless it pointed the way, and it was running across some infrastructure, became digital, and something called ISDN. That market developed. And the thing that changed then, the revolution happened, was the creation of the internet, right? Which actually gave a purpose to the fact that we have digital capability. And everyone knows how quickly the internet grew. And then the devices that we use to interact with the internet came along, and gradually the applications became more sophisticated. Now we're looking at the next generation of applications, which, guess what, need more network, which is very good for our business. And that next generation is all around AI. And I don't suppose you got through any podcast where someone mentioning those two initials.
I might ban it.
But, that's one of the things that's going to really drive change, but in all kinds of different ways. One of the things that I was really surprised and encouraged about, but I wonder how things will sometimes develop, is that in the industry we're developing technology that could eradicate the call centre in the next few years. It's already possible for a business to take calls as it does at the moment, record all those calls, record all the answers that are given, create a database of all the calls they received from customers and all the communications, and gave all the answers they ever gave, put into one massive AI generative or generative AI machine, and then anybody who calls subsequently wouldn't need to be answered by a person. It'll be answered by the AI application. That has a power to be transformative in a lot of parts of our industry. But guess what it needs to have? There's loads of comms to make it work.
The human in the loop.
The human in the loop. That's the second time you've said that.
I like saying it, and I think people need to kind of remember it as well. But I mean, AI, we hear a lot about IoT, 5G, and I guess some of that impact on cities. And I know that's something we kind of talked at length about in terms of how connected cities are becoming. What kind of work are we seeing, and how interesting is that as a kind of a trend at the moment?
There's a lot of interesting trends around IoT, but I would, this is one of the things about technology hype, technology reality. So, 15 years ago, 20 years ago, people were talking about IoT, Internet of Things, everything will be connected. And people went to absurd levels, your iron will be connected to the internet, right? Why would your iron be connected to the internet, or why would your fridge be connected to the internet? What is that actually going to do? So some of the hype hasn't happened, but some things are happening now at some pace. And I think the creation of digital cameras, digital CCTV cameras that are capable of image recognition is a really, really big development. And I think traditionally the store of the past in a retail environment required very little bandwidth. Right? Typically, they'd have their EPOS machine, bit of FPOS, a little broadband line would probably suffice. But let's imagine what the shop of the future looks like. The shop of the future, firstly, how can digitisation meet some of the challenges? Well, one of the biggest problems that shops face is actually leakage. Mm-hmm. People taking things out the front door, and unfortunately, some people taking things out the back door, right? So imaging technology, which doesn't require someone to sit there 24 hours a day just staring at a screen, right, which is enabled by some of the latest applications where it can detect products moving out of the shop without being paid for, right, it's going to be really important. And that same technology can be applied to the fact that actually you may have already seen it in a couple of outlets some people might have visited, where you authenticate when you go through the front door and of the shop, and you walk out the shop, and it just debits your card.
Well, Excel the other week. Coffee was terrible, but the technology was great.
Yeah, there was Excel. Excel was great, and that's for high capacity venues. That's a kind of shop of the future. It's enabled by Internet of Things technology. I also think on the street, it's clear that there'll be greater integration between the electrical vehicle and the networks that they went over. Now, everyone's talking about the hype cycle. Again, a few years ago, everyone thought we'd be having driverless cars. That's at the far end, right, of where we're going. That is probably at least 10 years out from today, maybe be longer. It does require an amazing amount of processing to do that. And there's a load of other attendant issues around insurances and those other things. But what will we see? What we will see is networks EV charge in the streets. That is absolutely essential, because the EV revolution and the delivery of environmental can't happen where the only way that you can really charge your car is if you've got a driveway and a garage. Too many people in cities haven't got that luxury. So you need street side charging, and you need to be able to find a street side charger. It needs to be accurate, be billion, and it needs to put you in the right space at the right time at the right thing. And all of that is about digital enablement, and that's facilitated by fibre networks.
Yeah.
What do you think the killer application is going to be that will demand the bandwidth that we've created? So right now, we've probably got access to more bandwidth than we've ever had, fixed and mobile. But actually, most people don't need all the bandwidth that's available to them. Not spots, what have you, excluded from that statement, but gigabit connectivity is relatively ubiquitous all of a sudden. What do you think the killer application is going to be that demands that?
But just before I talk about that one, but maybe linked to it, is that in terms of the business networks we provide, at the moment, it's more about how big is your pipe, right? And customers are tended to buy on how big is their pipe. I do think that what we will see over the next few years is some more focus on what the industry knows as QoS, or quality of service. And whether we like it or not all internet is necessarily equal, right? So I do think that we will see some higher value services, guaranteed services, which are absolutely necessary. Some of the things I've just spoken about in terms of the applications coming through need high quality, constant bandwidth, need assurance. I see as we develop our infrastructure, other people develop theirs, particularly in the business space, there'll be both a march to size, but also a march to quality. That will be good for our industry and different priority levels, and that's something I expect us to deliver. So thinking about the product portfolio at the moment, people talk about things called SD-WAN. So SD-WAN, software-defined wide area networking, allows business customers to say what is their priority traffic. I know their video conferencing suite for their board members being the highest, and guest access being the lowest, voice being higher than maybe web browsing. That technology has not been very easily deployed to smaller businesses. The people who benefit from that technology tend to be the corporates. We're thinking already about whether we could launch a network resident SD-WAN in a box kind of idea, right? So that our customers could actually select different service sets and different responsiveness and actually integrate their different premises together in a better way, whilst also giving them a greater level of security. Now, are we going to launch SD-WAN in the box in the next 6 months? No, right? But are we going to look at it and we're going to try and work that through the system? Yes, we are, right? And so you asked me at the start, what I thought was important in terms of strategy. Someone's got to do that thinking. Someone's got to do that preparation. And that's a part of what happens in my function at the moment, is thinking, how would that happen? How would we make that work? How can we bring that new service to market to our customers in future years? Because I think it'd be an excellent partner-based proposition to have something that can help to differentiate them in the marketplace and helps their customers be successful.
How do you ensure that you're on the cutting edge of knowing about this kind of stuff? You must have quite a bit of surface area, if you will, in terms of exposure to forums, industry,
well, I think one of the
technology.
things is that it's a bit like going fishing. You can waste a lot of time sitting on the bank thinking you're catching something valuable. So, I've talked about a couple of things I really believe in, right? So I really do believe that we will see first in this call centre, right? I really do think we're going to see the automated shop, right?
We've seen that already.
Exactly. One of the things I spent a lot of time fishing in a year ago was private 5G. How can we take advantage of something called private 5G? Everyone's going to get excited about it. It's the idea that people replace Wi-Fi networks
in big spaces
with a discrete 5G system. Everyone's get very excited about it. The thing why it isn't going to happen and why it hasn't happened is there's no scale to that marketplace that allows the device costs to be low enough to replace Wi-Fi, because Wi-Fi is ubiquitous and cheap, right? So if you're going to disintermediate it by some other product, you're going to have to be somewhere close to that price, and that is impossible at the moment. So how do we go about it? Well, we go fishing, and sometimes we feel like we caught something that's worth developing. But actually, unfortunately, it always shows Pareto 80-20.
Yeah.
In the strategy business, you'd probably say, 80% of your time is on a waste of time. 20%, well, hopefully you're liberated with the value. I'm not quite sure about that, but it's only the fewer things that we investigate and look at. But I'm asking my team and the wider business. I mean, actually, Dave, who's sitting here by me, salespeople are the best people to bring insight.
Salespeople are the best people.
I'm not sure if I completely agree with that, Dave, but I said they are the best people. We love our salespeople. We love our salespeople. We love everybody else's salespeople. But the fact is that salespeople bring back insight to our business. They don't just sell product; they bring insight. And I get calls from Dave's team saying, "Have you heard about this? Have you thought about that?" And that gives us a place to go. And ultimately, we want to deliver great value in terms of the products we sell, which often means price. But we really want to be more than that, deliver great service and innovation.
Thinking about technology, innovation, things that have changed your life, what piece of tech couldn't you live without?
Don't say what you're thinking.
No. I'm like the most. I'm a bit of an addict to my mobile phone. Right.
I saw that in that picture that was shared on WhatsApp last night.
Exactly. And me and my wife, we compare, not in a good way, how many screen hours we've been on the phone.
Claire's high as well, or not?
Claire's high, yeah. I tell you, unfortunately, we regularly called over 5 hours a day. Don't ask me how. But I'm not sure. Do you know how many hours you spend?
5-ish, yeah. But you use it for work. I only have one device. So when I had 2 devices, my personal one was obviously a lot lower, but I only have one device now.
I don't think I could live without my phone. I asked who could. So I was lucky enough to go to the Wembley fight recently. When the fight was so keen to get out on the on this balcony area, I tripped over the little step to get there, and my mobile phone went flying out of my hand, right, and crashed to the floor. I almost crashed to the floor, and at one stage I thought it was going to fall because it's sort of like one of the higher parapets. I thought it was going to fall about 30 metres, but luckily it didn't happen. But when I picked up my phone, it was crazed, the and it's crazed at a part of the screen which is really vital. The top part. I realise now is that most of the things you want to read are in the top part. They're never at the bottom part of the start screen. Right? And I realised how impossible it was to live without a mobile phone. I think the other bits of technology that I really enjoy is that I do like vehicles, motorbikes, and I like working on them a little bit. And I've got a car and a camper van, so I like a lot of mechanical things that have a sort of electrical interface.
So, Kevin, you mentioned private 5G as an example, and we worked together putting content together ahead of Connected Britain back in the year, and we referenced a few pieces of technology that they never really lived up to the hype. So, question, which is from a previous guest, is what is a piece of technology that never made the cut, if you will, that actually you quite liked?
Well, the piece of technology I liked is related to mobile phones, a BlackBerry. I love my BlackBerry, like a lot of people. And I love that little keyboard.
Or a status symbol as well.
I could type at the speed of light on that little keyboard. And it did everything. It was super reliable, battery power.
Yeah.
I mean, today, it's really interesting because most mobile phones will struggle to deliver the same amount of battery life as a BlackBerry. There's some things have moved forward and some things haven't. So I miss my BlackBerry hugely. It's so sad that that's disappeared.
It was such a status symbol in corporate life, though, wasn't it? When you reached the dizzy heights that afforded you a corporate BlackBerry, you knew you'd made it.
I had a Nokia 6210, which was my work phone,
That was the business.
and a BlackBerry, because BlackBerry didn't have voice capability on it. So the BlackBerry was almost like your little mobile inbox, and that was your. And I
The
loved.
first one was email. It was Bed's BlackBerry Enterprise
Yeah.
service. That was the push emails, and then they brought the later ones out that also had phone capability, and they brought out Biz, which was like the internet service, which meant you could bring in other emails that were on a corporate platform to it. But it was the most secure device for the US president used one long after they kind of shouldn't have been.
Oh right, okay.
The platform was completely locked down.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting that because this is where you look at, functionality, the functionality you can see and the functionality you can't.
Mm-hmm.
So the functionality of a BlackBerry in terms of security was amazing. The functionality of a mobile phone is for most people, far inferior. In fact, protecting your mobile phone is one of the big challenges. I miss that a lot. So I think what other bits of technology have gone missing over the years. You buy something and you think you will use it more than you actually do. And, I had to buy an electric bike, and I was really, really keen on it. I haven't used it as much because it's a piece of technology that unfortunately comes with weight.
Right, extra weight at the back.
So I could just button a normal pedal bike in the back of your car. But unfortunately, my 23 kilo electric bike is not something you'll just throw in the back of the car unless you want to injure yourself. So it's a really interesting thing that sometimes you think, that's great, that piece of tech is fantastic, but it sometimes comes with a downside which makes it difficult to use.
I think it's just a lot of kitchen gadgets that are just. We bought a steamer. But as soon as set it up, used it, cleaned it, it's a great idea, but actually it's more effort to use the steamer than it is to whack a pan on. And some sort of a lot of kitchen gadgets are like that. I'm enjoying the bread maker.
I told you about my favourite kitchen gadget.
Which one? The meat thermometer?
Meat thermometer.
You not mentioned it. What do you do with that?
It's my most favourite piece of tech. So whenever this question gets asked, Kevin, which is what piece of tech couldn't you live without, I always throw my little analogue meat thermometer in there.
Well,
just to
I think
it's
really interesting that if you look at most kitchens, right, a lot of people come on the expensive kitchen design and come along and help them design their kitchens, right? All those extra cupboards are just to put the toaster you're not going to use, the sandwich maker not going to use, the steamer, some weird coffee machine you've bought, and all those things, and they gradually get sort of pushed under the cabinets, not to be pulled out until you get the next kitchen refurb. Right?
True. I mean, I have soup maker in one of my cupboards.
Yeah, same.
I like a nice cup of coffee, right? So I have bought some really complicated coffee machines, often based on looks, where I haven't said to the salesperson, well, how do it actually work? Right? Or how many things do I have to grind here to make the thing work? And I'll constantly reverse it back to the espresso machine, which I know is not 100% environmentally friendly.
The bean to cup.
But it's
a bean to cup with a button rather than when you're fanning around with all that jazz.
And now I've just bought myself an espresso machine which combines the two fantastic things. It looks really complicated. It's full of silver and it's got pipes sticking out the front. It looks like a classic Italian design coffee machine, but to use it has one button. So I can look convincingly at my kitchen and think, wow, that's a fantastic coffee machine. I've got no hassle. Just put a pot in it, press the button, and it's a cup of coffee there. So it's interesting because great technologies, by the way, if they're not implemented in an attractive way,
like user experience,
yeah. And this is where Steve Jobs of Apple, I think, revolutionised the world. Particularly, he didn't invent any new technologies. He just packaged them,
made them accessible,
and that's what we've always got to do. Right? And the process of simplification is really important. So, designing things to use, to access, to make them as simple as possible, and that extends everything from the actual tech we do, which is connectivity, to building system. That I've noticed here today, there's a lot of people meeting the billing meeting. I never knew there were so many people that were involved in billing in our business, but actually they're having a really good session because we've just upgraded our billing platform. Some of our customers might be pleased to hear that.
True.
And we've been working intensely to try and make our bills simple to understand and readily accessible.
Fantastic place to wrap up there. Really good. Thank you, Kevin.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
It's been a joy.
You can come back again.
You can do.